Hello, Swivelheads. It's Greg Allison with Green Greg. It's coming to you live here on wee morning hours. So, my friends, a lot's going on. Let's talk about China taking Taiwan and what it really means. And, oh, I thought I had that muted. Pardon me. It's coming to you live here on wee morning hours. So, my friends, a lot's going on. Let's talk about China taking Taiwan and what it really means. Oh, okay, pardon me for that, guys. I've had that set for a default mute, but this time it didn't come up mute. Anyway, pardon me. That's what happens. You go live. Sometimes things go awry and you see it all. All right, guys, where we're at is not funny, though, in terms of China's intent to take Taiwan. It appears to be really serious. I think they may have some other motives I will talk about in the future that could be an alternative. It would not be any better. Well, all depends. But anyway, guys, so there's a lot at stake here. What a lot of people don't realize is the gravity. I know we all think about the microchips. Without Taiwan supplying the microchips that we're so reliant on, our economy is going to crash. Just that plain and simple. It's going to crash a lot harder than what we're about to see with the tariffs, because those microchips are so vital to so many systems we're using today. It's not funny. We're so reliant on those that it's off the charts, and it kind of makes you wish for the simple old days of the 50s, right? The 60s, when we didn't have all this stuff. But yeah, we have it today. It's in everything. All our communication systems, computers, banking, everything we do today has got microchips. So that's what we think about, but there's more to it than that. You got to realize what would happen to China, South Korea, what would happen to Australia, the entire Eastern Pacific, which is west of us, but on the Pacific side, it's the Far East. Well, I don't know how you look at that, but it's the Western Pacific, from our perspective, but Far East. But what would happen to those countries is off the charts. Essentially, by taking Taiwan, China would have itself in position to totally control the South China Sea and everything that goes north and south. Japan would be cut off. Japan would be cut off from all their raw materials, all the petroleum, all their imports, so if they need to produce things, they would be cut off. And Japan is reliant on these imports. They're also reliant on exports. Japan's a highly populated nation. They use their industry and their intellect to create things. It's not a resource-rich nation compared to the population they have. Yeah, they got some resources, but they have a very large population, and they're reliant on trade. And that trade goes through the South China Sea for the most part. And they would be totally cut off. The same is true, and more so even for South Korea. They both have a lot at stake. Now, South Korea's got to keep their eye on North Korea so hard. It may be hard for them to look down at Taiwan, the ramifications of it, but they know it. They know it well. And they're likely to join Japan if they have to in the fray to defend Taiwan if North Korea isn't moving on them at the same time, which could happen. North Korea might well take advantage of any move that China's putting on Taiwan to confuse us and keep the South Koreans out of the fray. And it might be part of the so-called drug deal they would have between them. Wouldn't surprise me. In fact, I kind of expect it. So that would be the scary part there. But Australia, hey, guys, I got a lot of viewers from Australia. Think about it. You get these just recently, you've had China also circumnavigating Australia with their military drills, live fire exercises off the coast of Australia. They're sending you a signal. And if you don't have, if we don't have control of the South China Sea, and you don't have any more of the ability to have Japan, maybe even South Korea to back you up, you're going to be in a lot more difficult spot than you are today. We got the United States, you see. Well, if we get in a war with China, we may not be looking so good. And China has a lot of means to preempt our nation and really take us to our knees before we even get to the ball game. So there's look, I've told you, I've put out that video before about China having the knife to our jugular. China has apparently 22,000 potential sleeper cell agents in the United States from having coming over just between October of 2024 and the time that Trump took office. That's a lot in a short period. How many more came before then? And then you got to consider how many of the Chinese nationals or people in this country would be beholden to that way of thinking. How many of them may have already been recruited? Maybe they're setting these guys up. I mean, even prior to that, who set up the biostation in Reedy, California, the bioweapons research facility in Reedy, California, the secret covert one? Who was running all the secret covert police stations, Chinese police stations in the United States of America? Who, you know, they've been active hacking our power grid. They have devices apparently in our power grid that could take it down. They may have drones in our country that could do a lot of stuff. They've been buying land near our military bases. Drones have been flying over our military bases. They could dispense stuff like fentanyl or God knows what else that would make the tarmac and access to our aircraft virtually impossible. And they could have sleeper cell agents assigned to take out, somebody probably is, to take out those very low frequency transmitters up in Washington State and Maine and Hawaii that we would use to communicate with our submarines. If we can't man our doomsday planes, we're not going to be communicating with them. If they've EMP'd everything, even if that stuff was operational, we might not be able to communicate with it. They may have us hacked to the point that we would have problems communicating with these things. See, guys, there's so many ways that we can be done in and have a very hard time coming up to the fight from the inception if they choose to invoke that kind of first response. If they try to preemptively strike with hacking and other type of events like that. So we are at a lot of risk. I'm going to open my chat room here. I'm going to go more into this, but the gravity of this is huge. Let's see, I'm going to open the chat room here. I'm going to see who we got in here. Give me a second. Go to my channel. There it is. I know I got the volume turned down here. We got 47 in the room. Very good. Very good. Good to see all you Vape King and first one there. Happy Dog Days. Hey, I used to go to Dog Days flea market all the time. Don, you remember that? Daniel Lamb. Jojo. Hey, good to see you, Jojo. Yes, Lee. All right, guys. So I'm going to show you a bunch of articles. But the gravity of them taking Taiwan, what it does, see, Taiwan is part of our first island chain, basically, that kind of contains China. With that taken out, they have removed that barrier. Suddenly, they're wide open to the seas, and they're developing blue water navy. They're developing aircraft carriers fast. They've just built an aircraft carrier on par with the Gerald Ford, and they did it in record time. Like what, a year or two? Whereas we spent years and years and years and years doing the Gerald Ford. They probably spent less time on that than we did with sea trials. Guys, they're bringing stuff to the forefront really fast. They've got so much manufacturing capacity, and now that manufacturing capacity isn't going to be used as much on commercial, you expect more of it perhaps to be put into military use. And they have been growing their military very fast. So, and we paid for it. Yeah, like cheap junk you bought at Walmart, you paid for them to develop their military, and we may lose a lot of American lives because of that. So let's y'all need to think about that, and you need to think, especially a lot of people in my chat room are from Australia, New Zealand, sometimes. Maybe we'll get a few South Koreans or Japanese and brought the topic up. But these, if you know anybody in those areas, share my video with them. But I'm sure they're aware of these things. And I know they are, but the population may not be so much so. And even in Taiwan. Now, here's the odd thing about Taiwan. Taiwan may have like 100% conscription or something like that. People go through the military, but they only spend about 4 months in. And a lot of them never even put their finger on a trigger. That's what I'm told. So their training is very, very lacking from the reports that I hear. Very, very lacking. So Chinese training is lacking, but Taiwanese China, it's probably more laughing. And there are probably some military members who would switch sides. I'm hearing rumors that there are some who would happily switch uniforms for promotion on the other side should the invasion take place. So Taiwan's kind of in a pickle. Now, people there do want freedom by and large. The people anywhere want freedom. They don't want to be part of China. But a lot of them just hadn't dawned on them that they're really, truly going to have to defend it until recently. Or maybe they've always thought, well, the United States are coming to save us. But we may not be able to, especially with all the rocket forces that China has now. And Pete Hegseth, our defense secretary, has just come out and said that China could take out all of our aircraft carriers in 20 minutes. Let me show you some articles on this. I remember, y'all may remember some months ago, I had an article I showed you where there were sources in China claiming that with the right satellite network, and we're starting to launch these satellites that could do this, that they could actually take out our entire Navy in 30 minutes, at least surface fleet. So, and they're also able now to track submarines. So, guys, we're kind of in a rough spot. We haven't been producing munitions. We've been playing whack-a-mole with the Houthis. Oh, yeah, the Houthis just last Sunday or Monday fired missiles at Israel. As much as we've been hitting them, they're firing missiles at Israel still. So they still have a lot of capability, even though we went in and slammed the heck out of them. Think about that. And think about, well, if we're having so much trouble with them, how in the world are we going to deal with Iran, which is far bigger, far better dug in, and got way more missiles. So there's a lot of stuff to look at here. And what is the real strategy? Well, really, I alluded to this in the previous video, this whole thing with Iran. From Trump's standpoint, well, from Israel's standpoint, Iran's an existential threat. It's not an existential threat to America. From an American standpoint, probably the war in Europe is just to stretch Russia out so that we can get to China. Although I think we should have allied ourselves with Russia way early on as a defense against China. I think it's a severe mistake what we made there. And then, we shouldn't have before this Ukraine war broke out. And if we'd done that, we'd have had peace in Europe, and China would have been far better contained. But we missed that boat. We missed it severely during the last presidential administration, very badly. Now, all that said, this whole thing with Iran from the Trump standpoint might be just to try to choke off Chinese petroleum resources. It may be Trump just wants to hit a few facilities and choke off the oil supply, the petrol supply to China. So from an American standpoint, again, it could be all about China. But we're really directing our forces more to the China side, expecting Europe to pick up in their theory. And they should also pick up in the Mideast. I mean, the Europeans got more to lose of what happens in the Mideast than America ever would dream of. I mean, Europe's all connected physically by land. We're not. So in terms of military strategy, it's far more important, or at least the tactical side of it for Europe than it is for the United States. But as part of the game against China, which is a real true adversary of the United States, that's a different matter. So, and that may be part of what's going on with this Iran thing. Now, I worry, hey, we got a super chat. Wow. Man Armitage, 10 buckaroonies. Salute. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Number one fan, you say. Well, tonight you definitely are. All righty. And probably quite a number one fan for a while. Yeah, I'm not being a lot of super chats lately, so I really appreciate that. I think my last video posted on this channel, after working on it for many hours, I got about $5 out of ad revenue on it. So, wow. You work on it for hours, and you spend nearly an hour just broadcasting it, taping it, and then you got all this stuff you did before and after. Yeah, it's just YouTube is getting to be a hard place to do business. But that helps, man. I appreciate that, sir. All righty, let's get back to this. This whole thing is geared toward China and this trade war. And I think maybe that's Trump's brilliance, is a way to bring China down without having to engage them militarily, because we're sucking in that category in terms of capacity. I mean, it's like sucking like a vacuum kind of a situation. We are in a tough spot. So I'm going to show you some stuff to back all this up, just a little bit of it anyway. Not so much the strategy thing. I'm just going to show a few articles here. We're not going to stand here all night long. I got to get up early. It's hard for me to do these videos now when I got to get up so early in the morning. Which one of these is it that's got what I want? That's it right there. Boom. Got to close this. Bang. If you haven't noticed, the dollar's been sliding some lately, and gold and silver still going up. And some analysts are projecting that silver is about to outperform gold. Just something to think about. If you got the wherewithal, and if you want to try to, hey, we got it. Wow, Sam Turner, where you been, buddy? Sam Turner, I hadn't seen you in months. You're still the second ugliest man in the North America. Whether in Taiwan, perfect. Weather in Taiwan is perfect for invasion for the next 10 days. That's just it, guys. Wow. Sam Turner, thank you, sir. Wow, I hadn't seen you in a while. I was worried about you. I was thinking, wow, anybody seen Sam Turner? Well, Sam Turner's in the house. We appreciate it. He's been one of my greatest supporters here. So I am most appreciative. All righty, guys, let's get on with this story here. Yeah, this might be a way to protect some of your assets, but past performance is not an indicator of future performance, and the market always has volatility. But gold's been doing nothing but going up. When we first started talking about these gold backs, I think it was like $1,600, $1,700 an ounce. Now look at it. $3,290. It's almost $3,300 an ounce, throwaway ounce. Can you believe that? Isn't that crazy? It's just insane how much gold has been going up. And, you know, there's talk that there's going to be more market forces to drive it up more. Now, you know, I don't know, but guys, something to think about. I do love these gold backs here because you can put them in your wallet. But, you know, if you go to Defy the Grid, you can get gold, you can get silver, you can get bullion. They got all these gold backs. You can see these are in thousandths of a troy ounce, which makes them fungible, something you can practically spin yourself. And they got a deal on here. If you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll meet it or beat it. So if you go to defythegrid.com, use coupon code, silver. You can use coupon code GreenGregs, you'll get 1% off. Yep, there it is. Find a better price, we'll meet it or beat it. Now, who else does that? It's because they operate on very skinny margins. That's why you only get 1% and I only get 1%. But use that coupon code GreenGregs because it's definitely a place to go looking for deals. Most other channels don't promote that simply because they get more margin out of the other vendors. I mean, they may get 15 or 20% from the gold dealers. I don't deal with the other guys. I'm just doing Defy the Grid. I think it's a lot better deal. All righty. Here it is. China could sink the entire carrier fleet in 20 minutes, according to Hegseth, our Secretary of Defense, the head of the Pentagon. U.S. loses to China in every war game run by the Pentagon. Oh, we got another super chat. The Redneck Prepper. Well, thank you, sir. Wow, tonight is a great night for super chats. I didn't think I'd get any of that starting as late as I have. All righty. Awesome. Awesome, guys. So look at this. The entire carrier fleet. Why? Because they can track them, for one. And two, they got the missiles that can reach them. And the missiles have got more and more accuracy. It's scary. And we're so reliant on our carriers. Our whole Navy is based practically on carriers. Yeah, we got some subs, but, you know, the carriers are the crux of our Navy. You know, big, holy, you know, the Gerald R. Ford was $13 billion. You know, that's a big machine. And it's a lot of value. You know, we got to go more and more to drones and smaller, faster military means instead of these big, giant, expensive systems. I think we're going to rue the day for doing that. This is the wrong direction to be going because we're just making big, easy targets now that cost a lot of money. We're going to be putting our money in things like drones that can probably reach out further and more. You can launch drones the same way you can launch, you know, they got a system called Rapid Dragon for launching cruise missiles from a C-130 way offshore out of missile range. That's the kind of systems we need to be developing. Well, we got another super chat. Steppers J, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Love you any hour, Greg. Wow, I thought I was on here too late. Wow, you guys are amazing tonight. I appreciate it. Yeah, they're sitting ducks. That is just it, Matt. They're sitting ducks. What do you think, John? They're sitting ducks. What do you think, Sam Turner? That's the scary thing. Well, finally, our top man has admitted it. And I know we're putting more money in them, but we better start thinking. We got to better start thinking about better ways to project our force if we got to project force, our defense systems. We've been, the new replacement for our new ICBM replacement is way over budget. The way we contract with all these big defense companies like Boeing. What's Boeing do? The whole idea that we gave Boeing a contract for the F-47. Hey, Donald Trump, have you looked at Boeing lately? Have you seen what they're doing? They can't even send astronauts to space reliably. If you get them up there, you can't get them back. They got planes falling out of the air, windows popping out, engines falling off. Good grief. Yeah. We chose them for the F-47. Oh, my gosh. But all these big defense contractors are charging out the gazette. Now, compared to SpaceX, we need a SpaceX for military contracts. That's what we need, because SpaceX comes out and launches rockets at a mere fraction of the cost of the defense companies, the big other defense companies that were building rockets before. Hey, the redneck prepper, Greg, we should have been to the. Well, let me pick it up when I read it better. Greg, we should always seem to be weak when we're strong. Well, now that's Sun Tzu, and that's true. That's Sun Tzu, and that's true. I do agree with that. Even if you are strong, you want to appear weak. Now, we may have an ace card up our sleeve. Trump did allude to having weapons technology that Putin and Xi Jinping couldn't even imagine. They'd never seen it before. Well, I did a video on my Galactic Greg's channel. I might go over there and check out Galactic Greg's. I'm asking, where's Trump's UFO weapons? Well, there's some precedent for that. It could actually be the case. I'm not saying it is. That's way out there. I'm about to put on my tinfoil hat to talk about that kind of stuff. I got it right here if I need it. See? Thanks to Rex Barry. This is a gift from Rex Barry. It comes from tinfoil.co. This is an official tinfoil cap, by the way. All righty. So, all that said, this is a mighty pickle we're in, guys. But we may have an ace card up our sleeves. I hope we do. What I worried about is that we might have technology like that, but if it's that secret, how do you have it at the scale you need it at? And that's what worried me about all the drones we're seeing. If these drones we've had over here are not ours, somebody else may have that technology at scale today. That's scary. All right. So we really don't know at our level. All we know is what's available in conventional weapons, conventional rockets. And then Elon Musk apparently doesn't have the key to the magic kingdom, even though he's the richest man in America, because he's still trying to get to Mars with a chemical rocket. So there you go. If there is better technology, he ain't got it. Isn't that strange? All right, all that aside, we'd still launch all our satellites on chemical rockets. So that also suggests to him, if we got that kind of technology, it's held very tight and it's not at scale. That might be able to make some surgical strikes. Like, it'd be interesting if Donald Trump could just beam Xi Jinping into the Oval Office and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Of course, it might catch a fly with him or something. If you ever saw the movie earlier, one of the earliest science fiction movies, Fly, was the first movie about a transporter, right? Probably between that and I think The Fly and The Forbidden Planet were both inspirations for Star Trek. All righty. So South Africa's the S and BRICS. That's true. That's true. All righty, guys. So here's another article that's along the same vein. China has AI satellites to track Navy aircraft carriers if they must sink them. See, this goes back to July of last year. And this was actually before the article came out that I told you guys about when I was talking about the claims the Chinese were making that they could take out all our ships in 30 minutes or would be able to soon. And who knows? Why were they talking it? Maybe they've got that capacity. Guys, this could be a very ugly war in a hurry. If we don't fight it, we're going to have a real tough time. If we do fight it, we're going to have a tough time. We may not have no way around it. That's why you got to get prepping, guys. You better be. If you ain't prepping, I'm living in my bug out location here. I'm taking it serious, guys. This is it. I'm here. You know, I'm putting my money and my actions and my life where my mouth is. I'm putting my life where my mouth is. Okay, this stupid stuff is trying to pop up ads on me. Cherry blossom. Oh Lord. Yikes. New Pentagon chairman. U.S. lacks ability to deter adversaries. Now, this is General Kane. This is the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So he's talking the same kind of language, but he's talking about in terms of us not having the basically the supply chain for the military. And that's a lot of what he's talking about here, if I remember correctly. Let's say the U.S. does not have the throughput, that's the supply chain, the ability to produce munitions, responsiveness, or agility needed to deter, our adversaries. This is General Kane. Whoo! Well, that's something we can work on. We got to get busy on that one. But and then Admiral Sam Paparo, however you say that, told the Senate hearing that China is engaged in unprecedented aggression against Taiwan. And he said U.S. forces can, now he said that U.S. forces can deter China and prevail in a conflict, but warned that the margin is eroding. China's building so many ships and so many rockets and just keep doing it. Yeah, they got the DF-17 and a DF-21 D or F now. Oh, my browser's freezing up on me. Here we go. So I can get it to advance again. Don't want to click. Here we go. I think my computer runs hot. This laptop I'm using, it's got a shortage on the motherboard. And then when I camera ear to it, I can hear it go, he's about to burn out. The shift keys are sticking. I can't do special characters. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. I got to replace it when I get a chance. But, you know, I'm kind of limited on what I can do with that. All right, hidden metals behind missiles, how China's weaponized the world supply chain. Well, this is about the rare earth metals, basically how China has said, hey, we're going to quit sending them out. They're embargoing the rare earth metals. It's in economic times. Now, the truth of the matter is, if this next one's economic, if this is the same topic, if it'll go to the next tab, yeah, it's all hanging up, probably because this computer's getting hot. Yeah, U.S. inability to replace rare earth supplies from China poses a threat in its defense. But the real problem isn't that we don't have them. We do. We've got a lot of these rare earth metals here in America. One thing, by returning aluminum manufactured in the United States, we got then we would have a source for gallium. That's one of the computer chip rare earths that China is embargoing us from getting. They're holding that back. But that's a byproduct of producing aluminum. We used to have Reynolds aluminum, a lot of aluminum plants in the Tennessee Valley because we had the cheap hydroelectric power. They're gone. They're shut down mostly. But all that stuff went to China. Oh, we got to get some of the stuff back in the house because, you know, you can't fight a war if you got to rely on your enemy to supply you everything you need. Holy guac and smoke-a-moly. How did we get in this situation? We were too trustworthy. Well, because China has infiltrated our government. They've infiltrated our colleges. They've infiltrated our media. Hollywood produces videos to be sold in China, so they don't discuss topics the CCP don't approve of. But, yeah, they're being embargoed now. Maybe there'll be a change of tune over there. I don't know, but Hollywood is Hollywood. What do you expect? They're a bunch of commie lovers anyway. California. So I don't know what else to expect from California, but there you go, in Hollywood. But maybe, just maybe, we'll see a little different tune coming out of there, just a little bit from a few producers. You know, we can get we can get if we can get some of the more conservative producers going again. So the problem here is that we don't have the mining and we don't have the factories to process the rare earths here. Of course, we gave out all that up to China. We got to bring that back in. We got to bring it back in now so we're prepared. If the war isn't now, at least if it is later, we'll be prepared. If it's now, woo-wee. But that's why this is one of the reasons that there's a couple of reasons. China may move. They may move fast. They may not have time to condition Taiwan the way they wanted to just yet, but they could blockade. Now, who knows? They could go blitzkrieg. They could hit Taiwan the next 10 days, as Sam Turner warned us. The weather is perfect in the next 10 days. The best times for them to move in on Taiwan is April and October. Or they could put a blockade around Taiwan and start firing missiles and stuff like that to soften the targets up and then move in October. I don't know, but it could happen now. It just may be that they didn't know they were going to get hit this hard by the tariffs this fast. If they'd known that earlier, they might have already done it. So they're reeling. They got factories being shut down. They got a lot of stuff happening there, and they're reeling from it. So that's all the more reason they might actually do it, because they may be on their last leg. And it might be their last best chance to make this move. Besides, it could be a good distraction. The population there is unsettled. This could be a distraction that Xi Jinping needs to keep his population from revolting. You know, it would be nothing better to see the CCP replaced by something more in tune with what Taiwan has, or what Hong Kong had before they went in and violated the treaty that they had signed with Britain. See, that's what CCP does. Communist China, all communist nations violate treaties. You know, we've withdrawn with a few, but China just outright ignores them. They'll stay party to them and just ignore them. China's invasion of our homeland. Now, we know that they have been buying property around our military bases. What a lot of people are ignoring is the fact that they own a lot of our companies. They have controlling interest in a lot of companies here in the United States now, or significant interest. They bought out, you know, quite a few of them. And medicine, you know, all our medicines are coming from China. And they're even in our water supplies. Oh, how did that happen? Oh, my God. So look here. Of course, a sleeper cell agent can go and mess up the water source. Remember Smithville Foods, or Smithville Farms, as we used to call them? Guys, they're the biggest pork producer in America, as far as I can see. America is an American pork and food processing company based in Smithville, Virginia, but it's owned by the Communist Chinese. It's owned by their conglomerate, multinational conglomerate, which is the same thing, WH Group. Wow, guys. See, the company is the largest pig and pork producer in the world, owning over 500 farms in the United States. Are those 500 farms counted in the other land counts that we're saying that China owns? That's a lot of farms. And in addition to that, they have contracts with another 2,000 independent farms around the United States. Are they really independent if they're contracted to a Chinese company? Hey, Sam Turner. Wow, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. I'll get breakfast on you. Wow. That's awesome, Sam. Appreciate it. I'm glad to see you again. I was getting worried about you. Anyway, when I don't see somebody in our chat for months on end, I get concerned. Yeah, we're family here. Thank you, sir. Wow. So think about this, guys. You know, they could just take all this stuff and send it to China. Our food from right here, or just shut it down. Right here, our own farms, our own food. They could set up some claim they got some problem, claim there's a bug, and maybe they could plant one. Lord knows they got that bio lab in Reedy, California. What's up their sleeves? We have let them into the house. We've let the enemy in the house. It's like you're the chickens in the chicken house and you let the foxes in. And not only that, but you let the foxes on the roost. The foxes on the roost. This is nuts what we've allowed to happen. It is nuts. We've got to disengage and get some separation, because they're aggressive. I mean, guys, here, you know what I didn't say in the beginning of the video I meant to say is this. China has got the most rapid militarization that's ever happened in the history of mankind. The most rapid expansion of military known in this world throughout all history is right now being done by China. China don't do this for their own self-defense, because there's, you know, over 1 billion Chinese. You know, they officially it's 1.4. It may have dropped, but it's still a lot of people in China. Nobody else in the world could muster an army that could go in and take China. Not boots on the ground. You just can't do it. There's just too many there. Plus, they got all the manufacturing capability. They got all kinds of defense systems. They've got a bristling Army, Air Force, Navy. And you got to have a numerical advantage 4-1 to take over another country, just about. You need about a 4-1 advantage. Now, ain't nobody else can even meet parity with them. Nobody's going in to take China. China don't need this vast military expansion for the purpose of self-defense. There's only one answer. It's not self-defense. It's aggression. They plan to go on the conquest. Look how they took the South China Sea, an area far bigger than Ukraine, far more resource rich, and it's vital to the most important trade routes on the planet. It's far more vital than Ukraine. If Ukraine was totally ceased to exist tomorrow, you wouldn't know it. It wouldn't make a dime's difference in your pocket. If Taiwan is no longer free, you will know it. You're going to feel it hard. And most affected will be Japan and South Korea and Australia, New Zealand. And if we don't do anything, then all these countries are going to question us as an ally. So if we don't plan to do anything, we need to reconsider how we relate to South Korea, Japan, and Australia. And they better reconsider how they relate to each other for their common defenses, and pull Indonesia and all these other countries that's been bullied by China and the South China Sea and all around all the borders of China. Maybe they can convince Russia to ally with them, because Russia's long-term threat is indeed China. It's the same for every nation on earth. It's the same. Even Europe. It's the same about some Europeans are thinking about cozying up to China. Some are smart enough to know better. But this is what we're looking at, guys. It is pretty ugly. So we got to be thinking about this. This is really serious. And I don't know how we're going to come out in, to be honest. It looks rough any way you slice it. If we do nothing, we're going to be in a bad spot, real bad spot. If we do something, it's going to be tough, and there's going to be severe consequences. Either way you go. If you're not prepping, I don't know what you're thinking. You need to be prepping, seriously. Do everything you can right now while you can. We don't know how long we have. It might happen in the next 10 days, as Sam Turner alluded right here, right now. And China might decide to preempt before they move in on Taiwan and just take out our grid. Could happen tomorrow morning. Could be 10 minutes away, a minute away, or 10 years. We don't know. But things are going to happen. And from the looks of it, it'll be sooner rather than later. A lot of people have been saying 2027. 2025 is looking a whole lot more likely right now. So buckle up, my friends. Buckle up. This is why I'm bringing you this stuff. I'm trying to get you guys to realize the gravity of the reality that we face. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Anyway, nuclear talks with Iran will bring the world to Armageddon. This is an opinion piece. And now this writer, see, we're having talks now, even though the Ayatollah Khomeini said he wouldn't talk, maybe only indirect talks. We just this past couple of days ago actually had direct talks with the Iranians. And a lot of his key guys are actually really pushing for this and saying things that, would have been dangerous if they'd have said them weeks ago. The people, 88% of the people in Iran do not want the Ayatollahs in charge. The Ayatollahs are sitting on a weak position. If we could wait them out, that regime would probably crumble, especially when the Ayatollah Khomeini ceases to live eternally, which will probably happen fairly soon. We can expect some big changes over there. So, and the people are getting fed up with him anyway, so it may not last that long. He could be overthrown. But if it's part of the game, if we're going to go in with a regime change strike, that we're going to strike the government, the key aspects of the regime, the sleeper cells here are likely to be activated. If we're only hitting them on the periphery, taking out their ability to ship oil to China, maybe helping Israel do whatever they're going to do with the nuclear facilities. If that's the limitation of the attack, we might possibly escape without having sleeper cells attack us. I don't know. I don't know, guys. The sleeper cells may hit anyway. This is a gamble. We're playing Russian roulette. Absolutely, Russian roulette. So, saw some post, somebody says, so when we rename the Gulf of America, should we rename the game Russian roulette as an American roulette? Well, it may be. We're the ones playing it. So it may be American roulette. Anyway, guys, but this article says we shouldn't have talks. It's posted in Jerusalem Post. We shouldn't have talks. And this guy's basing on his visions, his dreams of Israel getting nuked, and nukes flying. He thinks the nukes are about to fly based on his paranormal, whatever. But look who wrote this article. Uri Geller. Who in here remembers Uri Geller? If you remember Uri Geller, put a 1 in the chat room. I'd like to see who remembers who this guy is. He's the guy who actually claimed that he could take a spoon or a fork in his hand and hold it, and with the power of his mind, bend it. Now, supposedly he did this on video. He had a lot of people going, wow. But the amazing Randy, a musician, a magician, took it upon himself to debunk it. And he did a video where he claimed that he did the same thing with no magic. So I don't know, guys. I think this is just Uri Geller using his fame to push for war, push it harder and faster. Well, we got some people remember him. Yeah, we're a bunch of old. My viewers on this channel, we're all about my age. My age is about the average age of the viewers on this channel. Now I notice my Galactic Greg's channel, the demographic is younger. That's interesting. The space crowd that was watching me there is a little bit younger, about almost a generation younger. So that's kind of interesting. But on this channel, you're all like me. We've been around the sun a few times. So it's hard to pull one over on us, right? We can see things are coming at us. So I don't know what this guy's doing, but anyway, I'm hopeful that the talks, will pan out. But maybe it's not meant to. If the whole purpose is to cut off oil supplies to China, there may be still something afoot. But even if that's not the goal, the talks may not pan out. But I've read an article that claimed they think that if these talks do pan out, they'll be more enduring than the talks Obama put out there and had with them, because Israel would be more likely to accept something that Trump negotiated over something that Obama negotiated. So there's a chance. Spoon is heroin paraphernalia. Well, yeah, maybe it. Maybe your Geller's a druggie. I don't know. Well, he's an old man now. You can't be too much of a druggie. He's an old man. It's kind of like pilots, old pilots and bold pilots. You don't have, you can't be both. You can be a bold pilot, and you can be an old pilot, but you can't be an old bold pilot because you'll chances are not with you. I don't know. Cheeks and Chungs are still alive, but then again, they're not into, as far as I know, the heavier stuff. But hey, I don't know what I know. I'm just a poor dumb rocket scientist. What I know. Anywho, we can't forget North Korea. North Korea is making what could be its largest, most advanced warship ever, according to satellite photographs. Again, they're on the verge of being a project power. That's what it's all about, guys. They know the whole world is about to go in flames if we're not careful. The whole world, everything. It is nuts where we're at right now. That's why I'm saying get your preps going. It's anywho, I got some other videos. I'm probably going to show them on maybe tomorrow night on Silverhead News. We're going to talk about factories in China burning, discontent in China, how the tariffs are working. But even before the tariffs, the Chinese economy is teeter-tottering bad. So that may cause, like I said, Xi Jinping to act out now. But it also may be something that plays in our favor. I think it's Trump playing four-dimensional chess. Okay, that ain't the article that was supposed to be up here on this. Sometimes X will do weird things. I don't know. We'll skip this one. I hope they don't replace my other article. X is real bad. You pull up an article, when you come back to it, something else is there. Now just a little bit on the weird space news. They've discovered that the entire universe might be slowly rotating. They claim this can solve a lot of issues that they couldn't explain before, like this so-called Hubble tension. But I find this very, very, very interesting because it seems that all the particles rotate. Why do they rotate? What's one of the most stable plasmoids? It's a San Elmo's fire. It's the what's the other word for it? Ball of lightning. At a larger scale. Rotating plasmoids. A lot of the strange effects we've heard about, like Honolulu, which is the supposed Nazi UFO, supposedly used rotating conductors, like liquid mercury. There's something odd about rotational fields. And maybe it's because the entire universe is rotating, but it would make more sense if the universe is rotating, but space-time is not. See, this article don't go into that. The very fabric of space-time might be set, and the energy and matter that we call the universe is rotating around it. So that would create all kind of tension and give rise, perhaps, to rotating particles. It might be impossible to have a solid particle without that being the case. That may be the whole key to how the greater creator launched us into existence. This makes it very, very, very interesting and explains some weird effects that I've heard through the years about how the key was something that was high-powered, high-voltage, rotating electromagnetic field. A lot of weird stuff about cross products. Why do you have cross products like electricity and magnetism? Why is when you turn on a switch and electrons flow in it, your magnetic field spirals around it? You work space-time just throwing on an electric switch, guys. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I'll talk about that more in the future, maybe over Galactic Greg's. But I just discovered that. And you got to watch my Galactic Greg's channel some. I've gotten some strange stuff in there lately, but we're in strange times, guys. We're living in a science fiction world already. We just don't realize it. Now here, Adak, Alaska had an earthquake. Look at that, guys. 5.2. That's where we had the 1,000-mile war. Was Japan took Adak, and we took it back. Well, there's rumors that Japan is thinking to take, and Russia both are thinking about taking a few of our Aleutian Islands. Well, that would stir the pot. But we'll hit space weather, and we're going to be done for the night. It's late. I got to get up early. I got some other things open. I may, like I said, can't cover that over, and so we'll go ahead and use maybe tomorrow night. And I got some other video work to work on if I can find the time. Between trying to build this place out, get my solar up and running. Yeah, I'm working on my solar, guys. I'll be sharing that with you. I designed my own solar. Did my own design. I didn't buy one. I didn't have somebody buy a kit. I piece parted it all myself, selected all the components, sized it. Hopefully it all works. Yeah. A couple of items I got in when I got in, it mentioned things that wasn't in the ad when I bought it. And I was a little disappointed. But anyway, so cross your fingers. That's my big power inverters. Anyway, Jim Mack was storms today. CME hit Earth, just a G1 to a moderate G2. Whoa, what in the world? I hate it when you're trying to scroll something and it pops to something else. Anyway, so we got a little bit of aurora activity. We got some big sunspots up here. Always love looking at the sun. I can't even read that without putting my eyeballs on. Let me see. Here they are. We got just a couple really big sunspots out there. Not super big. 4060 and 4062. 4061 is really small. 56 over here is kind of small. But this one is bigger than this guy, and it's rotating in our direction. What is 4062 going to bring us? That could be interesting. And I don't know if it may be growing. So that one we got to watch out for. We may get some really big storms coming up here in a few days. Might coincide with China. Maybe China would use that as an excuse to take down a power grid and blame it on the sun. I always thought that might be how it happens. An EMP might be launched at us in conjunction with a solar storm, and then they would just blame it on the sun. How would we know? Especially from a balloon attack. Oh yeah, I got more stuff I need to cover on the balloon story too. We've got some new findings on that. Yikes, guys! We're in interesting times. Asteroids, nothing known, nothing that we know about. Because they always come out of nowhere. We always discover them after they whiz by us or about to. But nothing we know of at the moment is posing a threat to us. Well, that's the good news, at least within the next few weeks. Wow, they got this thing projected out to June 12th now. Okay, cool. All righty, that's enough there. Stop the share. Bada bing. Let's go here and look at some of the comments here. I'll put my eyeballs back on where I can read some of what y'all were saying. This tiny text I'm looking at here. All righty, toroid, amazing things. Yeah, there's just something to that. All right, let me go all the way back up the top and go through your vacuum swell. No sound. I suppose y'all were hearing me now, because y'all voted. Now, when I first come on, there's a problem that it don't tell me exactly when the video starts. I mean, it says it's loading, it's going to YouTube, it's communicating. It acts like it's not up yet, and it actually goes up before I see it. That's the scary thing. That's what really throws me off. Pete the Crusader Hedge Seth. Yeah, that's interesting, S. Lee. CG, oh, GC, or G Coffee. There we go. G Coffee 223. Okay. Matt Armitage. 12 Bravo, Georgia. Oh, you're 12 Bravo in Georgia. All right. Fort Benning. That's the only name I know it by. I guess they try to change that name. That's how I know it. Fort Benning, just like Fort Bragg. That's all I know for that place. They named it something else for a while, but it got named back. 2 years ago, silver was $16 an ounce. Yeah. Yeah, it's in good shape now. Greg always seemed to be weak when you're strong. Yeah, yeah, amen. Sun Tzu. Yep, appreciate it. Let's see here. Yep. Tory, American colonialist. Are we being colonialist, S. Lee? Soul's Eye Jules, how you doing? Why am I suddenly awake? I don't know. Maybe you just woke up to be here. Soul's Eye Jules, that's our original mod, guys. The first mod on this channel. Last night, or last time I was live, I had our second mod, Pyramid 7. Soul's Eye, then Pyramid 7. That's the order. And Soul's Eye used to live close to here by now, but she moved out before I got back. TR3 is a balloon. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's basically a dirigible. Or no, it's not a dirigible. It's actually an airship. Probably a rigid body airship with some interesting propulsion. Probably ion winning. Ashton Forbes has a better transformer he talks about. Oh, transformer. Okay. Martial law hits, supplies are null. We may be in a null supply condition here real soon. Heard Iran has satellites with nukes. It's not impossible. I think they got probably 4 nukes from Kazakhstan. So they probably already have had them for years. Snake is just changing the skin. All is the enemy, bro. Even nature. Oh, well, we can work with nature. Charles Manson. Oh, yeah, Charles Manson tried to launch us into helter skelter, and I think some other people have been trying similar things since. That was he was trying to launch a race war. Thankfully, it didn't happen. MK Ultra specimen. Most likely. Ashley he's been a good guy on our channel for a long time. Let's see. Only 6 likes. How many likes we got on here? Oops. Let's see here. Pull this up on the other browser here. So really working out too good. How come this is, get a refresh on it. Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Where count is and light count. Oh, I ain't seeing it here. What's wrong with this ding dong thing? And it's showing me. Yes, Ricky. I've been doing rockets for decades. Rockets and space stations, satellites, and tanks and F-15s. These are the things I worked on. Yep. PMT 7, I don't know, FF9. Yeah. The price of gold should speak volumes. Amen to that. It is something else. Hey, you can get those gold backs or silver. That might be a good, better way to go now. At defythegrid.com, just use the code Green Gregs and get 1% off. More dry beans. That's a good move, payment. Now, see, now payment, pay EMT, however you say it. I'm going to say payment sometimes, but it's pay EMT, F9. Bought more dried beans. Smart move. Agent Chrosniak has a replica of the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, I'd like to see what the electrical properties of that are. Spoon bending. That's right, JoJo. That was his thing. Spoon bending. Some people like to go spooning. Oh, I sit there spooning for warmth. That's funny. Don't need a crystal ball. No stuff is about to fly. That's true. You know, I used to have a crystal ball. It was somewhere packed up. I always told you that, you know, hey, my crystal ball is about as good as a bucket of tar to me, other than making a nice desk ornament. But hey, look at the trends. Boy, things are heading down. Need an underground city these days. That's right. AMT, rocket scientists matter. Well, thank you. I did a video one time that said black rifles matter. Remember that? Black rifles matter. Dimensions or electromagnetic field differences. Ricky, I'm not going to argue with that. Well, I think there's actual structure, a space-time that's tied in to the way that you get coupling between electric and magnetic, and it exists down to the Planck constant level. Right, realm, dimension. There's something called Reich energy. Remember that, guys? Papa symbol, black sun. Sun will. Well, okay, Vape King 5 That's good to hear. As soon as you almost have all the knowledge, reset button. Yeah, that's scary. You know, we're on the verge of having such a lot of wonderful capabilities. We hope that y'all get knocked out. Michael Sherman Garden wouldn't work anymore. Just set up my new Berkey filter. There you go. That's a prepping step. Guys, go back and watch my video on many ways to purify and sanitize water. That is very important. Divide and conquer, says Ricky. Yeah. My posting ability on my channel is terminated, but I do have shorts. Oh, everybody maybe check out S. Lee's channel. 60 likes. Good. Kim Possible's in the house. All right. Morning. Running late this morning. Just got to work. I'll listen, get on. Oh, I'm glad to see her here. Kim Possible. That's awesome. I like your new place. Did you bring your worms? I brought the worm. I brought 10 of my sled beds here. And they have worm castings in it. And it's actually not so much castings. That was fresh bedding. It's basically wood that's decomposing. But I don't have water to replenish it and keep the worm. And so the worms have desiccated. But I'm getting water. I now got a big water tank out here. I got 1,000 gallons, so 3,000 gallon tank. I've had 1,000 gallons put in it, and I'm running line out to where the worms are. We've already set up in the middle of the garden. We're just about to put in. I got the frost-free faucets in, but I'm focusing on trying to get my solar up first because the price of the gas to run this place is killing me. I'm off grid. I'm 100% off grid. My communications is through Starlink. Thank you, Elon. And my power is gas generators right now, but I'm working on my solar. There is no internet cables coming to my house. There's no power cables. I am off grid. About to be growing my garden here. Electric chair, Ark of the Covenant. They did call it, the seat. What do they call that in the middle? It's the seat of something. Electric chair. That's pretty close, Ricky. Ricky, right? How you say art and nature. Like your new place, great. Yeah, I just read that. Well, wheelchair user, how you doing? Camp F is getting very grumpy. Oh, Camp F. What is Camp F? Very grumpy. All right, guys. So, since Kim Possible's in the house, I'm going to check my PayPal. She's been, anybody's donating there. I want to give credit where credit's due. Let me check it out real quick. Ding, ding, ding. Wow, we got a super chat from Kim Possible. Yes, so I figured that. She's real good for that. So salute, Kim Possible. She gave a $20 donation. She went to my website. On my website, there's a donate button. If you go to greengrades.com, there's a donate button. And that's where she went. She made a donation. So I get a little bit more percentage of that. So salute to Kim Possible. So I give credit where credit's due. And she's been real good. Whenever she shows up, she chips in. So now we had a good night tonight for super chats. Oh, Campy Lafergie, however you say that, called Dara. Yes. Guys, when it rains, it snows. When it rains, it snows. We're living in biblical times, Just look at it. The red dragon, what was in the Revelations? The red dragon, all the trouble it was making for the world. How it was going to basically take a bunch of the world. The red dragon. What country is the red dragon? They self-identify as a red dragon. They've always been for the dragon and the commie red, but even in the old days, it were more likely to color the dragons red than not. Commie red China is the red dragon. And I suspect it's the red dragon of Revelations. At the time of Revelations, I don't think they knew that kind of stuff about China. I don't think they knew hardly anything about China. So little that even Marco Polo was the first person of European heritage that ever got there. And and people were so ignorant about the place. When Christopher Columbus got to America, he thought he landed in India. That's why Native Americans are called Indians. Anyway, so much for that. But he did get around the world. Well, not all the way around the world, but he did get to the New World. And of course, Magellan's ships were the first ones that went around the world, but he didn't make it past the Philippines himself. One ship out of 18 made the whole journey. It used to be tough back in the days. Old Dutch sailor used to tell me that they figured in the old days that the Dutchmen who were out sailing, they only had a 50% chance of survival getting back home after they went off on a journey. If you think about it, even when America was first settled, Plymouth, first colony, half of them died. Jamestown lost half of every year, it seemed like. They just kept losing people and people kept coming. And then you look at the trek across Death Valley. It wasn't called Death Valley because it was a beautiful place, friends. I've driven through there. But, there's just things that you got to realize, put things in perspective. Creating this great nation was tough. It was tough on everybody, including the Native Americans, especially them, but that's a whole other story. I did talk about that in my last video. But anyway, guys, so putting in perspective, a lot of the claims made are overboard, just like claims about the Arctic sea ice and, how plant food is destroying the universe. I believe that's a little bit overrated. Cyclical reset, says Ricky. Well, as long as the reset is the reset that we're got the finger on, not Klaus Schwab's reset. Art of Nature. I don't have a double button on my. I don't have a double bottom in my worm bed. I put in dry rice in the bottom to absorb. Well, you can also have it where you can drain. I always made my drain. John Taylor, how you doing? Good to see you. All right. All righty, folks. We're going to call it a night. I got to get up really early. It's 2 o'clock my time. It's 4 a.m. back, Central Time Zone, and 5 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. But I got to be up for a meeting. I get up early. There was one night I had a meeting at 1 a.m. and then I had another one at 5 a.m. I'm working with some Europeans right now. So yeah, that takes that's a challenge, especially when you got to be up all day. So that's one reason it's kind of harder for me to do videos now. So just bear with me. I'm trying to get stuff out, but it's a struggle. I'm building this place. Still got a lot of stuff boxed up. I got the grid of my own solar arrays I'm out here building. I'm going to really show you guys about solar when I get this installed. People used to ask me a lot about solar. Guys, I've done it now, so I'll be able to really show it and explain it. So that'll be good. And it's a good size system. It's going to be 9 kW. And I'll show you my garden as I'm developing that. Good Lord willing, if the world don't fry here in the next 10 days, could happen. Get your preps ready. Hey, and always remember. So I did find some old cards here. Before leaving home, have your checklist. Bring your keys, your wallet, your cell phone, your knife, your other knife, the third knife, the nug. Yeah. Backup nug. And packs and spare kibble dispensers. And the nugs are hungry. You got to feed them kibbles, right? I suggest having as many nugs as knives. Yeah, and I'm pretty big to have a set of everything in each pocket. So, but just rest easy, Greg. Yeah, I'm about to make moves, start hitting hay. I'm gonna go outside and turn my generator off before I do though. And then which means I gotta go outside and crank it up before I start my work tomorrow. So that's a little extra time, but it saves on gas. That gas is expensive. It's expensive, guys. And I think gas to run my generators, well, and it's oil too, a lot of oil, gas and oil are probably approaching $800 a month. It's crazy expensive. But I do work, so I got to have power. My Starlink. So it's kind of like being in a Mars base here. The red dirt out here kind of makes me think of Mars. So they got these big broccoli plants going all around. They call juniper trees. Yeah, I look like giant broccoli. I did a video on that just to spoof back in Thanksgiving. Because I had one of the best broccoli casseroles I ever had. And I thought, I got to do this video. So, oh man, I need that sign notice. Yeah, I got a couple others. Like if you're politically sensitive, if you're weak, flat earthers, danger, snowflakes, you get in my channel and listen to my videos, you're going to melt. So, loudy. And when you're both a rocket scientist and a worm farmer, you better watch out for the wormholes. Especially when you talk stuff about space-time, right? Wormholes. What did MH 370 fall into? A wormhole, maybe. Strange stuff. I'm really impressed with what you've accomplished, Greg. One day I'll have a homestead. There you go. Work toward that. Thank you, sir, for your great work and inspiration of hope. Yeah, I always keep hope. I mean, we're likely to be in for a very rough ride, but that's when you prep so you can survive and get on the other side. Then once on the other side, we'll build a better world, hopefully. I hope. So, but that's you do that because you hope to survive. You hope for a future, and also hope that we don't need it. Woo. And it's looking like we need it. But even if you don't need preps, you'll use them later. I mean, I've had natural catastrophes, and I was glad I had my preps. Alabama, F5 tornado came about a mile from my house, the F5. Took out all the power lines come out of Browns Ferry. I almost hit Browns Ferry nuclear power plant. And we were out of power for a while. So, but I was doing okay. I had my preps. I had my little gas cook stove. I had a generator. I had, I was able to keep things going. So just keep that in mind, guys. Fazioli, how you doing, buddy? Fazoli, not Fazioli, Fazoli. A new guy named, I don't want to say it right now. Getting a little rusty. Get a few cobwebs upstairs. What was that guy's name? It's close to your name you got there. Anyway, big reliability specialist in the space industry for a long time. All right, folks. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you, mods. Wow, you made it a super night. Your super chats, you made a super night. It's the best night I've had on this channel. And you just made me, well, we did better tonight than I've done in months. This is the best night on the channel in a long time. This year, the best night this year, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. In fact, we've done better tonight. We've probably done everything combined all year long. And this year's been, it's been second wind, been tough. You guys made a difference. So I really appreciate it. You must mean a Hacklebird. Hacklebird. Oh, yeah. It hit Hacklebird. It did. It hit Hacklebird. Yeah, that tornado went from way down in Mississippi, crossed through Alabama and almost made it into Tennessee. May have actually made it in Tennessee. That was one bad. Yeah, Florence. You know what it was. You know what it was. That's right. All right. No Alabama in here. South Paul, 87. Yep. All right. Well, I've drove through Florence many times, moving stuff back and forth here. A beautiful area out there, Florence. All righty, folks. Thank you, super chatters. Thank you, mods, for keeping the channel clean. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Please share my video. If you're not, click the thumbs up, share it, talk in the comment section. We need to do things to get my video seen more, because this channel, this platform, YT steps hard on people that don't love commie China for some strange reason. Anyway, all right, folks. All that I'm going to say to everyone, wherever you are, a good day and a good night. And with that, ho, ho,